Ever try just Tree4AI to navigate some government websites?
Yeah.
It's like they were designed in the Stone Age, right?
Mm.
You just end up thinking, did a robot make this thing?
For sure.
But today, we're talking about what happens when government and technology, actually work well together.
Okay. Yeah.
And for this deep dive, we're looking at this idea from Department.Technology, and they're really pushing for, get this, entire departments of technology. Like at every single level of government, federal, state, local, the whole shebang.
Wow.
They're making the case that this could be huge E, like the key to making government way more efficient, more transparent, basically just better at this whole technology thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And is it really?
Right. Like, how do you even...
But it's a big idea.
It is a big idea. So they lay out this whole framework in the article, and they start by saying that no matter what level of government we're talking about, these departments of technology, they all have 5 main goals. Enhancing infrastructure, so that's a big one. Then promoting transparency, engaging with the public more, making sure everything's compliant, all the rules and regs. And then fostering more collaboration, which, let's be honest, government isn't always so great at.
Yeah. Not always their strong suit, right?
Not exactly known for it, right?
Yeah.
But how do you actually DO all of that? It's such a massive undertaking.
Yeah. It's a tall order, for sure. And I think that's where this whole idea of, like, different playing fields really comes into play. Because, take that first goal, enhancing infrastructure.
Yeah.
If you're talking about the federal government, you're talking about, like, protecting huge GE national databases from cyber attacks, something like that, right? Big picture stuff.
Yeah.
But then you zoom in on the local level, and it might be about making sure everyone in, like, a rural community even just has access to reliable internet at all.
Totally.
It's the same goal, better infrastructure, but the way you approach it is completely different.
So it's like, okay, I'm trying to think of a good analogy here.
Okay, yeah.
Imagine a big tech company, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they've got their headquarters, maybe it's in Silicon Valley or something.
Right.
They're making the big decisions, setting the overall strategy. So it's kind of like your federal Department of Technology, right?
Yeah.
Then you've got like your regional offices, and they're taking that strategy, but they have to adapt it to different markets, different challenges.
Right.
So maybe that's more your state-level departments. And then finally, you have the local branches dealing with like the really specific needs of individual customers, face-to-face.
Totally.
And that's your city or county level?
Exactly. And just like with that company, the resources they have, the challenges they face, heck, even just the way they talk about tech stuff, it's all going to be different depending on what level you're looking at.
Okay, so give me a concrete example here. Let's say we're talking about, I don't know, election security. Big topic, right?
Huge, yeah.
How would that look different?
Okay, so on the federal level, with election security, you're probably thinking about, like, setting some kind of national standards for the voting machines themselves, or maybe coordinating with, like, intelligence agencies to try and fight any foreign interference, stuff like that.
Okay, so super high stakes, big picture stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But then you go down to the local level, and it might be something as straightforward as, like, making sure that all the polling places have really reliable internet connections.
What about counting and all that?
Right, exactly. Or it could be about training all the poll workers on how to spot, like, a phishing attempt.
Oh, smart.
Or even, educating voters themselves about how to figure out if they're looking at disinformation online.
So it's less about the big global threats, more about those practical on-the-ground things that can go wrong.
Exactly.
But even with these different approaches, whether you're talking federal or local, don't you run into the question of, like, who's actually in charge of all this?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Who's calling the shots in these departments of technology?
And that's actually, that part's really interesting.
Okay, tell me more.
Because they have this whole proposal for how it should be structured, the leadership of these departments.
Okay.
And it's different for each level.
Okay, so walk me through it. What are they thinking?
So at the very top federal level, you'd have a Secretary of Technology.
Okay.
Appointed by the president, vetted by Congress, the whole 9 yards.
So someone with some serious tech cred, ideally.
Exactly.
That makes sense. But then what about when you get down to, like, the state and local levels?
Well, that's where they get kind of radical with it. Okay.
They're suggesting elected secretaries of technology at the state level.
Elected.
Yeah, like you'd actually vote for them.
Ah,
And get this, at the county and local levels, it would be elected directors.
wait, so you're saying we'd be voting on, like, who runs our city's tech strategy?
Yep, that's the idea.
I mean, wow. That's kind of a big deal, right?
It's huge.
And maybe a little bit terrifying.
Well, yeah, I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
On the one hand, you're talking about, like, the ultimate in local control. So you could directly vote for someone
Mm-hmm.
based on what they're going to do about, like, expanding broadband access or maybe how they're going to handle digital privacy.
Right, those are big issues.
Huge.
But then on the other hand, are we going to start seeing campaign promises about, like, I don't know, free citywide Wi-Fi?
Right. Or what if you get people running who are, like, fantastic politicians, but they don't actually know the first thing about technology?
Yeah, exactly. You can end up with someone who thinks an algorithm is just like a fancy word for a math problem. Exactly. And you don't want those kinds of decisions, about infrastructure, about cybersecurity, data privacy, all of that being made based on, like, what's going to sound good in a campaign ad.
Right. You need actual expertise.
100%. So then the question is, how do you balance that need for expertise with giving people a say in it?
Yeah, because you don't want to lose that democratic control entirely.
Exactly.
So do they have any ideas about how to, like, square that circle?
Well, they do have a couple of suggestions. One is that you could, have some requirements for the people who want to run for these positions.
Right.
Like, they have to have a certain amount of technical experience. Think of it kind of like, when you see job postings and they're like, must have X number of years of experience in this specific field.
Oh, so, like, you actually have to know what you're talking about to even run for the job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not just career politicians anymore, right? And then another thing that's suggested is setting up, like, advisory boards made up of experts from all different areas of tech, and they'd be there to, like, advise the elected officials.
Okay, so you'd have that balance then.
Right. You'd have the expertise, but you'd also have the public accountability.
Okay, yeah. That actually makes me feel a lot better about this whole thing. Because I got to say, this conversation has made me realize how much we rely on technology and government without even really thinking about it.
It's true, and it's only going to get more and more intertwined, right?
Yeah.
Like, imagine the impact AI is going to have
Oh, for sure.
on, like, everything. Social services, law enforcement.
Everything.
We're just getting started.
Yeah. Which is, I don't know, it kind of makes this whole Department of Technology idea, even if it sounds a little radical, it makes it feel kind of necessary.
Definitely. Important, I think, at the very least, to be talking about it. Because
Yeah.
it feels like we're at this point where we really need to figure this stuff out before we fall even further behind.
It's almost like we're, I don't know, trying to jam a square peg in a round hole. you know?
Totally. Like, trying to make technology fit into these old ways of doing things.
Exactly.
And it's not a good fit. What we need are systems that can, like, actually keep up, something as fast and flexible as technology itself. And that's what's so interesting about this whole Department of Technology idea. It's like, finally, we're admitting we need a different approach.
So let's say, just as a thought experiment here, these departments actually happen.
Okay.
They become a reality. What does that even look like? Like, what are all these tech wizards actually doing all day?
Okay, I want you to picture this.
Okay.
It's 2030.
Okay.
You wake up in a city with a fully functioning Department of Technology.
Okay, I'm with you.
You walk outside, and there's a pothole in the street.
Which, come on, is 2030 potholes should be a thing of the past.
Right. We've got flying cars, but the potholes are still here.
Exactly.
But here's the thing. Instead of trying to, like, wrestle with some ancient website to report it,
Oh, tell me about it.
you just open up your city's app on your phone, and the Department of Technology, they've made sure that this thing is, like, beautifully designed,
Yeah.
super easy to use, and you report that pothole in, like, 30 seconds, tops.
Okay, now that's the future I signed up for.
Right.
But, okay, that's like a very small scale thing.
Sure.
What about something bigger, like federal level? What kind of problems are they tackling in this 2030 world?
Okay, well, imagine a cybersecurity system, but it's actually keeping up with all the hackers and the threats because you've got this whole agency that's completely dedicated to it.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Right.
Right.
Or what about the digital divide? Like, maybe that's not even a term anyone uses anymore because the Federal Department of Technology has finally managed to, like, connect every single corner of the country with high-speed internet.
No more talking about, like, who has access and who doesn't.
Exactly. It's just a given.
Wow. Okay, so we're talking about, like, really practical everyday stuff, but also some of these huge systemic problems that technology could maybe actually help solve.
That's the idea.
Wow.
And what I think is really exciting is that this kind of structure could actually make government more innovative. Like imagine a local Department of Technology. They're in the community, right? So they hear about some problem, something really specific that people need,
Okay.
and they actually have the resources and the skills to build a tech solution for it.
They can actually do something about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That kind of responsiveness, it's almost unheard of in government right now.
Yeah, it's true.
It'd be
It
amazing.
would be huge.
Totally.
Like, suddenly you're giving government the tools, but also the people to not just keep up with technology, but to actually use it in a way that helps people.
Exactly. And that's why even if this exact idea, with the departments and everything, even if it doesn't happen tomorrow, just having this conversation is so important
I agree.
because it's making us rethink what government can even be in this digital world.
Because at the end of the day, this isn't about, like, ones and zeros,
Yeah.
It's about how this technology actually affects people's lives.
100%. It's about, can we use this stuff to make government work better, be more transparent, more responsive to what people actually need?
That's a future I think we can all get behind.
For sure.
This has been such a great conversation, really got me thinking
Yeah,
about all the ways that we use tech or could be using tech, even just in my own town.
definitely.
So if you're feeling like maybe you have some ideas or you just want to learn more about this whole Department of Technology proposal, head over to department.technology. They've got a ton of info there.
Yeah, it's a really interesting website.
Until next time, stay curious out there.
Absolutely.
Keep asking those questions.
That's
Let's
it.
all keep diving deep.